Hello, dear students. We will continue with Chapter 7, Changing Cultural Traditions today. In my live class, though I have already explained about the next part of the chapter, but still I will be providing you this video and audio explanation which will help you further to understand about the progress in the form of humanism and Renaissance. Now, as I was talking in my previous video, that there was a lot of changes when 5th to 11th century Europe witnessed that there was a dark period, and people of that time, they were inclined towards only one thing, that is God. And whatever was happening in and around, they were told in such a way, they were brought up in such a way, their mindset was in such a way that whatever was happening was God created. Now, after this 11th century, there was a sudden change in the mindset of the people. There were universities like Padua and Bologna where, the people emphasized on legal studies from the 11th century onwards. And law was therefore a popular subject of study. Now, not only this, the people also wanted to know about humanism. That is, humanist was the master who was taught, or a person who was be knowing about the grammar, poetry, history, and moral philosophy. Now, the question is, why this was happening? This was happening because there was a renaissance in the cultural movement which turned away from the medieval scholasticism and revived interest in ancient Greek and Roman thought. And there was a system of thought which criticized as being centered on the notion of the rational or autonomous self. When you be rational, suppose rationalism means you are having a question in mind. For example, if you try to think that from your very childhood, right from the point of time when you start learning, we have been told that the sun rises in the east and sun sets in the west. And this was probably the first statement also which we always write as a grammatical statement in our English copy. But when you think or give it a rational thought, we will come to know that sun never rises and sun never sets. It is actually because of the rotation of the earth, it seems that the sun is rising and the sun is setting. So there were people who questioned it. And when there was a question that why it is happening, how it is happening, and what for is the reason, that means you become rationalism. So the rationalist outlook or a system of thought which by attaching the prime importance of human rather than divine or God or supernatural matters, that is humanism. That means if you are thinking that this painting is beautiful, that is not God created, that is because some human has done that. And this changes in the thought process or the philosophical stance that emphasizes the value and agency of human beings, or individually, or maybe a group of or collectively. The meaning of term humanism was spread out in the European countries that time. And this source of thought process brought Renaissance in the country. The term Renaissance is often used to describe a person with many interests and skills, because many of the individuals who became known in what is termed as the Renaissance period, you mark it that it is from the 14th to 16th century in Europe, where multifaceted people, that means they were, good, having knowledge in good, diplomatic thought, and they were having knowledge of art and architecture, sculptures, paintings. So, like this way, the thought process changed. And later on, when they emphasized these revolutionary ideas, and then they started implementing these revolutionary ideas in and around places, then the people, they started believing in themselves. Now, this 9th to 11th century, which was the early middle period, which was almost be called before that the 5th to 9th century as a dark period, and then when there were so many changes coming up after the Middle Age, that later Middle Age period is actually known as the period of Renaissance. Now, when I was talking about the various, cities and towns, like we have spoken about Rome and other countries like Italy, you will be finding that so much of art and architecture has been brought up. Now, see, it was not only related to art and architecture. Now, the question you might be asking that what is the important feature of this kind of humanist thought? That they believed human nature was many-sided, as I told you, and individuals were capable of shaping their own lives other than by more or mere pursuit of power or money. An extolled man stressed his worth and dignity, and it stood for freedom and rights of the individual. Now, whenever I'm talking about this, you will be getting one thing very much common, that every time we are emphasizing that man as an individual human being, and whatever he is creating, it is his interest, and this the things are being done not by the Almighty or not by the supernatural power, but by the man himself. So that is what humanism is all about. And the term humanities is derived from the Latin term humanitas, which we all are learning. We are learning humanities, used by the Roman lawyer. And in the early 15th century, masters who taught like grammar or poetry or history or moral philosophy were all called humanists. So if you have opted for these streams, so later on you all will be called humanists. Now, to carry on with the art and realism, now see, what is realism? Realism is not making anything elusive type. For example, God. Now, God is something which is very, very virtual. You cannot see God. You have got an imaginary image of God. But when you create, so that's why, suppose recently we all have witnessed Durga Puja. Now, what we have seen, that the idols are the most beautiful kind of idols, and they are not human-like. They are not at all human-like. Or maybe if you refer to goddess Durga, you see that she has got 10 hands. So it was that something supernatural power was given to her. But when you come down to realism, that is all about the human body, the human nature. Now, if you refer to your book, page number 158, you can see that there was a painting which was drawn by Durer in the year 1508, and he drew a praying hands. Now, when you see this painting, you will come to know that these like praying hands are of a human being, because you can see the veins and the nerves, the way that the artist has painted. Why? Because this doesn't belong to a god, or it is simply because this talks about the realistic feature of human being. Now, the same thing artists, they carried on. Suppose now you want to study science and you want to know about the different organs. Now, normally what happens when you are taught different organs of your, maybe the sense organs, or when you are talking about the internal organs, how you were taught? So, you were given certain pictures of these organs and in your book, and when you came to know, like right from the very beginning, how do we draw the shape of a heart? It's like a simple shape. But when you see the actual human heart, you will find that it is so complicated. Now, how do you know the difference between the drawn heart and the human heart actual? because you have seen that the diagram or the picture of this human heart. Now the question is, when people started for the first time learning and studying about a human body, they were also in need of these pictures and photographs, otherwise how they will understand. So the artist, they started drawing and making paintings of these human bodies, which helped the scientists to study further. Basically, those who were into medicals and artists concerned to be accurate was helped by the work of scientists, because these artists helped the scientists to know or to study about the bone structures, and they went to the laboratories and then they drew all these things. And if you refer to the book, then there was like a Belgian professor of medicine who was Andreas Vesalius. He was the one who first drew the he was the professor of medicine at University of Padua, was the first to dissect the human body, and this was the beginning of the modern physiology. Now the painters did not have older works to use as a model, isn't it? So, but they like the sculptures painted as realistically as possible. Now, if you refer to some of the sculptures, once you are over with this chapter, once you are over with this, when you refer to this, Google out the sculptures of European time, that time, so you will find that all are very, very realistic sculptures. The human body, each and every part of the body was realistically sculpted, and they found that the knowledge of, suppose the knowledge of geometry was very, very important to make a sculpture or realistic sculpture of a human being ready. For example, why it was important? For example, see, suppose when you are drawing, have you seen a kid drawing a human body? How do they draw? You might have seen that they might draw a very small head and a long body, or you might have seen that they have got long hands and long legs but a very small box kind of a body, or they might have drawn a big huge head and a very small body, because their perception about the geometrical structure or the knowledge of geometry of a kid is not clear. How, when you grow up slowly, then you realize that when you have the geometrical knowledge, then you understand the perspective. That means if the hand is this much long, then the legs are also have to be this much long, and the head and the hand distance should be this, or the body and the leg distance should be this much. So you have to know about the geometrical knowledge to draw a perfect or a realistic human being. So during that time in Europe, this realism was very much into practice, and people started questioning, people started painting, people started experimenting with colors and all these different perspective of geometrical shapes. I would like to also give you another example of Leonardo da Vinci. Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, if you have seen it, now she has got a mild smile on her face if you have seen the painting. Now many people, they say that Da Vinci drew himself as a woman, and why there was a mild smile, many predict or many feel that Mona Lisa was a portrait of a lady who was expecting that time. She was into the motherhood, and she was about to deliver her child. So the mother, the happiness a mother carries, that was shown on the face of Mona Lisa. Now Da Vinci, who had an amazing range of interest from not only into paintings but botany and anatomy of mathematics and art also. So that was the man who painted Mona Lisa. One of his dream was to able to fly, and he spent years observing birds on flight and designed a flying machine also. So these were all the work of realism. Anatomy, geometry, physics, as well as strong sense of what was beautiful gave a new quality to the Italian art, which was to be called realism, and which continued till the 19th century. So children, I'm concluding my chapter right now, and I will be continuing next in the next video about the architecture and also about the printed books in my next video. Till the time, take care.